Hey, business law buddies, how are you guys doing this week? I hope you had a great weekend. I've got a scratchy sore throat, so I'll probably keep this a little bit short. This week we're going to be talking about torts and crimes a little bit. So we'll be switching into a little bit more detail into some law and some criminal law, like you might be familiar with, and tort law. So really the difference between criminal law and tort law are, well, there's several differences. One, criminal law is beyond a reasonable adult. Tort law is a preponderance of the evidence. Okay, so if you have a tort, which is kind of like a civil lawsuit that is filed against you, there may not have been any criminal activity that happened. So it might just be a personal disagreement or a business disagreement that you're trying to settle, and you're using the court system to do that. It could be that somebody was, generally with a tort, there has to be something that happened that you are not whole with, I guess would probably be the best way to describe this. So there has to be negligence or something that somebody did that caused you harm or the other person harm. And there has to be something attached to that. So let's say I did something that you felt was maybe potentially harmful, but like there was no financial cost, there was no reputation, nothing really happened from it. You just didn't feel like I followed the process the way it was supposed to be processed. And I resolved it with you. Perhaps I gave you money back, but you were still not happy with it, so you took it to the court. A situation like that, a judge would generally look at that and say, you know what, she tried to make it better. It wasn't what you wanted, but she doesn't have to do any more than that. Like that's enough. Like you don't have any other harm. You're walking away from this whole, I guess, this relationship as much as possibly whole as you can be. Another thing that could happen is, let's say I was tearing your bathroom apart and I got really busy and I never came back to finish it. You could take me to court because you paid me money to finish it and I didn't. The court could actually order me to finish your bathroom. So after all of that anger and years of not having a bathroom that works, they could potentially have me come back in and fix your bathroom for you. So they're not always as clear cut or a solution as you might think it to be. Likewise, in a criminal situation, it's beyond a reasonable doubt and everybody has to agree. So in a lot of cases, you're just looking for maybe one jury member to say, no, I don't think they did it. So it's a little bit easier if you can cast at least one little inkling of doubt in there. So that's usually what people are trying to do, I guess, from a criminal case. Criminal case, there's actually a violation of a law. And that violation of a law caused you likely to get arrested or some sort of a ticket written. Generally, it's an arrest. Possibly you're going to court for a felony. You could be trying to contest a misdemeanor or a traffic ticket or something like that as well, but that's generally not what I think of as criminal. Criminal is usually the state versus, so whereas a tort or a civil trial is someone versus someone else, in a criminal case, the state is bringing the charges or the court case against the person. So that's kind of that's in a nutshell the difference. You could have somebody violate a law, and then also you could sue them in civilly as well. So that's happened in a lot of cases, actually, like O.J. Simpson as an example. He was charged with murder. He was found not guilty because, again, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. But the family sued him for liable damages related to the death, and there was enough evidence to find him responsible monetarily for her death. So he owed them a lot of money and subsequently caused bankruptcy, I think, as a result of that. So that's where they can work in conjunction, like a drunk driver could get arrested for drinking and driving, but the family could also sue him or his insurance company or her and her insurance company for damages to their vehicle, to work, to all the other things that come out. So in a criminal case, generally, the family isn't really receiving much benefit. Sometimes they could also sue for damages all at one time, but generally that can be done at a later date or with one insurance company and the other after to get that. So they can kind of go together. So that's why we talk about criminal law, because sometimes they overlap, but they're also different, and it's good to kind of learn the differences between the two. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week. So that's what I want you to work on. You will also be going to visit a court by the end of November. So before Thanksgiving, I'd like you to get into a courtroom. So you have about a month to do that. I'm just going to go into the courtroom analysis here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to this website, the WCCA Wisconsin Courts. It's also the link right here. So I'll just click on that. When you get out here, you're going to agree. And what I really want to do is I want to look at the calendar. So I'm going to go to the calendar and I'm going to look for the court. And I'm going to look for Brown because that's the county I live in. You pick your county. And I'm not going to pick a court official, but I am going to pick a date range. And usually it goes out a week, so you can't go too far. So let's say I was just looking for this week. I'd search. And then it'll give me a list of court cases that are happening each day. So you can search a day that you're interested in going, and you can get an idea of what's going on that day. So anytime it says State of Wisconsin versus, it's a criminal case, you can actually click into it to get a little bit more details. So this one will say bail jumping misdemeanor. So you can kind of get an idea of like which judge is going to have what type of cases on a given day. So that's something that you can look at. If it's restricted, then you can't go to that one, so that will be one that you won't be able to see. A lot of them start at the same time because they just run consecutively, one right after another. So you can get in and see these. There's a lot of State of Wisconsin. Those are criminal one. Brown County versus might be, I'm curious. Why would say Brown County and not state? Oh, OWI. So yeah, that's more of a sheriff's department must have wrote out a ticket. So that's why it says Brown County. And there's a bunch of restricted ones on this way. So sometimes the restricted ones have to do with children, or children might be present, and they just don't like that. There will be some. If there's two people's names, sometimes that's a marital discrepancy or divorce hearing. But on the 28th, there's a lot of State of Wisconsin ones. But as you page through here, there'll be lots of different cases out here. You can also go right to the courthouse. So like this is a contested divorce. You can sit in on any of these. It's really, really fascinating. The other thing I recommend, if you're not real sure, like I'm wondering what this one is. Does it say? Moving families through change. They must be trying to move. I'm wondering, there's a motion for contempt though. I don't know. Transparenting. Moving families through change seminar completed. Somebody didn't do something in there. This looks like it's part of a divorce family discrepancy. It's hard to tell. That's what it looks like. Petitioner versus deal explain. There's lots of different cases out here. It gives you the courtroom numbers and stuff. But what you might want to do is ask when you get to the courthouse, if there's any interesting cases that are going to be happening in the next hour or two, and which courtroom they might be in so you can sit in. A lot of times, the judge will ask you why you're there, and that's normal. That's just because if you were going to actually be a witness or be part of the trial, you can't be in listening, so they're just making sure of that. If you tell them that you're doing this for class, sometimes during breaks, they'll, invite you back to their chambers, or the bailiff will kind of give you some inside information on the process, and answer any questions you have. They're really very helpful, especially at Brown County. So I'm assuming other places will be like that as well. So my hope is for you to be able to get into the courtroom, sit for an hour or two and listen to some court cases, and then you're going to write a 2 to 3 page paper on what you observed. If you can't go to the courthouse, there's some archive videos for you to watch. There's some famous court cases like the O.J. Simpson trial on this mental floss most watched television trials, so you can watch that. You do get a bonus 20 points for going to the courthouse. So I want you to go to the courthouse. You get extra points for going to the courthouse. So it's well worth being able to do that. But if you can't, I completely understand. It's an online class. You guys have work and all sorts of things as well. So you have the opportunity to watch them and still get full credit for the assignment and not feel like you're missing out on anything. I'm just giving you an incentive to get to the courthouse because it's pretty cool. I do not want you to write about a court case that you went to a year ago, 6 months ago, last month. I want this to be current and relevant, so that you can apply what you're learning in the class to the courthouse. I think you're going to pick up on things that you wouldn't have picked up on a year or two ago. Also, if it was your court case or someone you know, it's hard to be unbiased when you're writing about it. So it's really interesting. The students that have gone in the past have had some really interesting cases sometimes that they stumble across. That I know the summer group had one that completely changed their perspective on the legal system and what happens and drugs and how it impacts people's lives. It was an emotional case for them, but they really took a lot out of it. So I highly recommend taking a little time to go, even if it's a couple of hours. They're generally closed over lunch, though, so that's the only bummer. And beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is better than later in the week. Things start to get canceled. So a Tuesday or Wednesday is probably your ideal day. But I just wanted to introduce you to this assignment so you have enough time to do it before Thanksgiving. I'd love for you to get it out of the way so you're not inundated with so much work at the end of the semester. Okay? That is all that I have for you today. I hope you guys have a great week.